Sanibonani kwi-Freedom Day. As so-called it's a Freedom Day. Again, it's Vusi Mhlaba. So the last time sikhulume nge-Rand Rebellion. Saze sayibeka lana ekuthini inyunyana yabasebenzi babelungu ngoba ngalesi sikhathi ngo-1921 22 kuleyo period abelungu kuphela babevumelekile ukuthi babe nenyunyana, abantu abamnyama babengavumelekile for a particular reason. Mhlambe mzwane sis-analyze ama-unions itself iyongena leyo mhlambe lapho sobe sisi-direct kuma-labor relations matters, size siyobuka namanye ama-acts nama-provisions ukuthi awafanele lama-provisions ngabe aya-amendwa and the likes, but we'll go there. So where we ended up saying the White Man Workers Union took a resolution to rebel against the current government of that time, which was led by Malan. And then in that decision, they also decided that no, they must identify another political party that will take care of their interest and supremacy at the workplace. Remember, we said the issue in dispute was the intention of the employers to fill in the semi-skilled vacancies by black people, which these white people did not like, because they could see that means black people are going to take their jobs. And it's not only the jobs, it's a status to them. And then we said, indeed in 1948, they voted the National Party political party to government. And then in terms of labor relations history, that is the third phase of labor relations landscape in our country. So where they look at the period from 1948 to 1976, where South Africa was governed by the Nationalist Party. And so they told us that the political situation of the country in that period showed that politics and employment relations systems, you cannot separate these two things, politics and employment system in the country. Now we said, okay, then we packed them. Then we said, okay, let us come back and try to analyze if did National Party implement the mandate they were given by the white workers. Remember, if you are a worker, you are also a community member. Did National Party carry the mandate? Not to prolong the analysis, let us be guided by the National Development Plan, the codes of the National Development Plan, because they will assist us. We look at education. What did National Party do for white people: health, transport, safety and security, environment, housing, uh, economic factors or matters. If we will analyze that, maybe today let's make it part one of analysis, so that we'll take few codes of national development plan and exhaust it. Even if we can take one and we analyze it, that this is what national party did. By so doing, it did uh, Im- improve the lives of the white people. That means they carried the mandate of their voters and constituencies. So let us look at education first, because personally, as Uvusim Club, I have a great passion in education and labor, because I believe you can't have a future if you don't take care, or if you are not radical on education situation. You will not have a future if you are not radical on labor, because those are the catalyst of the economic development of any country. It's education, it's labor. So, and you can't separate it. So, comrade, let us look at education, particularly those of my age who were there in 1970s, who were there in 1980s, who are there even today. Let's look at education, so to see whether did National Party implement the mandate given by their voters, so that we'll say what is happening to us. Now, uh, firstly, Rena, I'll give more examples of KZN, Durban in particular, where I'm living and where I grown up, and where most of the things I'm familiar with. A person from Western Cape will compare Khayelitsha in Cape Town and the surrounding suburbs. Here, you start with the building. Go and study the physical building of the schools in so-called white dominated areas, and the schools in townships. The structure itself, first of all, it showed whites had better building, better infrastructure in schools compared to us. Not even compared to us, because we were nothing. You can go to, if you're in Durban, ungayobuka lower primary, Durban North primary, lapha eDurban North. Ubusuzobuka iPhaphamani kwaMashu, ubuke ubuhle. Ubusuyabuka into ey'mbili ey'qhelelene. Uma ufika eDurban North primary usuka kwaMashu, ngoba sike saba nesikhathi phela singakwazi ukungena sibone zonke lezi zinto. You would not believe ukuthi primary le, ngoba phela wena uyijwayelele this normal school nama 2-row building, one to office, no laboratory, no swimming pool, no playground, nothing. But if you go to the primary school in Durban North, you'll find a rugby court, tennis court, swimming pool, cricket that side, hockey ground there. Go to the classrooms, big classrooms, such that you might think it's a university. to us. So what happened in terms of funding? So that's what National Party government did. Build schools that are in the accepted standards for its constituencies. National Party government, firstly, without fear or favor, just separated us. Whites this side, blacks this side. That's why I'm giving an example of a school in Wamash and school in Durban North. That is just across the road. There's a North Coast Road to Durban. Just across it, sekwenye indawo. But our mothers were working there, working for them, doing washing, cooking, looking after their children. You see, that's first example, which to me says National Party government did carry the mandate of their constituents and voters. They did. They forcefully move us from economic zones like Mkumbane, Sophia Town. They moved us to the place that they were thinking they are not economically viable. And they created townships called Wamashu, Mlazi, Soweto, Khayelitsha, Mdantsane, and the likes. We stayed there. Our parents stayed there, struggled, grew us up in those conditions. As today we are in this age, and today sesihambe sisegregate to sekhona iyouth sibadala ungayouth umntana. Okay, that's another part. What else, comrade, I'll identify for today? What was the funding? What was the funding with education by Nationalist Party regime? The apartheid regime. White schools, parents were paying nothing. Whites did not go around looking for stationery. Talking of school fees, there was no such thing in white schools. Hence, they were called Model A. Model A was a school that is fully subsidized by the state. What happened to us? We were paying school fees. Sashawe othisha kuthiwa kukhokhiwe kuyobhekwa ama-receipt. Kushawe wena umfundi ushawe ukuthi umzali wakhe akakhokhile. When schools are open in January, our parents affected by a lot of headache. They think of the stationery. Where are they going to get money for stationery? They want the school fees. They want this. One textbook. Awunayo incwadi uzoshawa esikoleni. Awungenayo incwadi ngelanga uthisha mebonto usekushaya wazi wacikeka. Bakuxoshe. I remember ngifunde Stenge eGroundville eLloyd. Sometimes nabanye abafundi sambe sohlala emobeni emini because now we are chased away because asinazo incwadi. Ngikhumbula kahle ukuthi enye incwadi esasifunda kwakuthiwa ezemvelo because sasisebenzisa medium of instruction kwakuyisiZulu at that time. I remember emsuvele. I know ngangazi ukuthi ngizokwazi ukuyiprotecta, ngizokushayela i-homework, but angeke ngikwazi ukufika ukuthi anginayo incwadi. Sometimes anginawo uthayi wasesikoleni ukhala wesikole, but kusho ukuthi ngizoshaywa-ke bese ngihlala phansi. So those are the things, and then that says to me, National Party regime carry the mandate of their constituents, implemented it to the optimum, and that made a constituency, a nationalist party regime, and other voters, they had a reason why they must go and vote, because babeyibona into abayenza. We come to employment relations system. At that time, again, I'm saying without fear or favor, there would be an advert of a post, but at the bottom it would be written clear, whites only. So you will never qualify because you cannot be a white. You can have what you have, but at the end of at the bottom it's clear, it's whites only. So you can't apply for it. You can apply, but you won't get it. Already, you are disqualified because you are not white. That's Nationalist Party regime, carrying the mandate of its constituency and voters. Disparity in salaries, not that because they were shy, because they had to maintain the white supremacy. They had to maintain the white supremacy as the White Mine Workers Union. They were fighting for their supremacy in the employment world. Didn't that correlate with the resolution took by white monopoly capital in Germany that said for white people to maintain their white supremacy over masses, they must ensure that the high standard of living of masses is suppressed. That doesn't give it effect to that resolution. So in many fields, comrade, you can go on and go on labor. Look at hospitals in our town, in our places of residence. Look at hospitals in white people. I'm just talking about physical structure. So there are many, but let me finish this one, which I know best. Comrade, one has discovered that at that time when we were doing teacher training, for us black people, it was 2 years. Whilst the white people, it was said it's 3 years. Because the institutions were separated in terms of race, we could not see other things or have proof of it. So we remain with that fallacy that what we knew is that, okay, we cannot complain because this white person has studied 3 years and I have studied 2 years. But though it was not my choice, but it's a situation that we're living under it. But comrades, listen to this when we discover things. But things we discover it because of we were struggling. We continue rebellion. We continue fighting. This is what we find. I'm not talking about any institution which was abroad. I'm talking about institutions like Edgewood, because Edgewood was for whites. UKZN at the time was known as Natal University. It was for whites only. So Edgewood was a teacher training college, but for whites only. But comrade, look, listen to this. White people were were trained for 18 months at school. That is 1 year and a half in the college. And then they go to any school of their choice. They further their training for the other 18 months at school now, teaching. And there is a certain amount of money that they will be earning. And then the school will then write a report to the college about that particular educate. And based on the results that student acquired in the first 18 months, plus the report by the school, then together this thing, then the student is honored with a diploma and then becoming a qualified educator. But in our case, we'll stay for 2 years on a desk. Say sometimes you left your home, nobody's working, nothing. Here you don't have anybody visiting you with anything. But we focused, stayed these 2 years and we passed. Guess what? When we get to the field, we were told that whites, because of 3 years, they are qualified educators. And we were called unqualified educators because we have been trained for 2 years. And this thing was justifying that why the white educator will be earning more than you, even if you started on the same year, same date, but the salary of the white person will be better than yours because, and you have to admit that, okay, because he's a qualified teacher, we are unqualified teachers because we have trained only 2 years, they've got trained 3 years. So for today, comrade, let me stop there. I've spoken about 2 codes in the National Development Plan. It's education and labor. To show or to try and see if did the National Party carry the mandate of their constituents when they were in power in 1948 up to 1976. So let me stop there today, comrade, and thank you. And maybe we will continue with analysis of 1948 to 1976 so that we will go to the 6th phase and see after the 6th phase, did our political party that we put in parliament, what did it do for us, we black people and voters and constituents of them? So we'll be comparing, comrade. But everything is centered in money. Money. Everything. What we're discussing is to see, because as I said, these are mine workers. They work in order to get money. They fought the government when they're intending to consider black people for semi-skilled job. At the center, it was money. So money, comrade, then we will then answer the question why the buying power of our money is always deteriorating and what causes them to deteriorate. Maybe in the second part, we'll start to check things that are happening in 1994 and things that happened prior 1994. Why did they do this? Didn't you see? Thank you, comrades, and good night.